Hi, so this video actually covers the material for the floor. I could imagine that you probably missed that video, so I thought I'll just go over it again. So essentially, that's what the floor looked like. Before I did the floor, if I could press Ctrl V, I go to the constructor. I have the generate floor here, so that without that, comment out, this is what the floor actually looks like. But this is not actually the floor. This is the 360-degree image, the cube map that I've added. So the building direct doesn't actually have a floor. Now, essentially, there's a first-person controller here. So when you look at it, you see that there is no floor. In other words, you're basically moving in midair. No, but we need to place this on the floor for the user to be able to get the impression that they're actually walking on the ground. So what I'll do is basically to go into this function, before I enable it, I'll go over what the function actually does. And when we come back here to generate floor, this is the entire function. And what it does is that I first of all get the same, I get a repeating value of 500, but you understand why that 500 is chosen there. And just to make sure this doesn't rotate, I'll just change the controls to be controls. So I've done this in a later video, so I'll just come out. I give it public controls, so all it just says from public, but it doesn't keep rotating, probably driving you mad, crazy. So there's the floor geometry and floor material. So what I do is to create the geometry and floor at the start. Then I create the floor mesh by combining the geometry and material. Give it a rotation position y0. Receive shadow means that shadow is going to be cast on the floor. Give it a name in case I'm going to access it later. Position. Again, now I see it seems like I sort of changed to convert base, so I'll just write this out because it's no longer needed. Our receive shadow is repeated twice. I'm just going to comment that out as well. And then we add the floor to the scene, but then comes the textures. So what I'm going to do to understand what the textures do is to return the function from here. And if we make sure that there's nothing that it needs from below, there's nothing. So in other words, I return floor from here. So I can as well return floor from here back to the top, enable generate floor. And that's all you see. You see the floor is simply blue. Not exactly blue, some shade of blue. And so if I go back to generate floor, what I did there was just control click. And then the first texture there is the albedo. So if you come into the folder structure here and you look on the textures, you'll see that's the bump map, that's normal, that's the albedo. That's what the textures look like. I'll just close every close of this. Let's say so. There's a map in move that breakpoint, Control P, and then so what I'll do is now move this and bring it down to this level. That's it. Move this and bring it down to that level. And what you notice that I've named it loader one, so it doesn't conflict with the other. So in this case, we're loading the texture. This code was basically copied from three.js org. So if I commented this out, you'll see what the floor looks like. That's the entire texture on the floor. But then all I do is to repeat the texture a couple of times, and that's why I've defined the repeat V at the top 500. So if I did a 10 here, you see what the texture looks like. But if you scroll out, actually, look at the entire map, you'll see that the texture is located at the corner here. I do 50, that it's breaking down to a 50 by 50 grid. So obviously a 5 by 5 will make it a bit bigger. The 2 by 2, for instance, you see that it's actually a quarter of the entire floor. So it's a 2 by 2 grid basically. So what you do, for instance, what you do 100 by 100. And when I say 100 by 100, that's repeat B is repeated twice there. So setting the texture size basically. So you're repeating the texture across a number of grids. It's too tiny, you can't see it. If I do it one by one, that's the repeat grid of one. You have it covers the entire floor. Now, if I do a 2, that's a 2 by 2 here. All I need to do to enable this texture to spread across is to do a repeat. So that's why I do the wrap S of repeat wrapping. I wrap T or repeat wrap with texture. And when you look at it now, you see that texture is distributed across the entire floor. So now if I go down here and I change it to 50, it will still duplicate across the floor because now I've instructed the texture to wrap. But there you'll see there's that pattern that shows because it's doing 50. So that's the way the repeat, texture wrap, as texture wrap T. That's how they work. And once the map has been, once the material has been set for a floor, when you do a load texture, that's load texture load, you need to set the texture to the map and you need to call next update. Because if you comment it out, it could load now because it's loaded before, but now I can see it doesn't load it because by the time the image is loaded, the materials already added to the floor. But then the addition of this makes sure that it refreshes the material and then adds in the texture even after the material has been added to the floor. So that's similar to what's been done here. The next one is the normal. I'll just bring this, I'll just copy this, or I'll cut this out, bring it here, paste, and then you see how it affects the floor. So now what you'll see, notice that here I've used the same repeat V value I've done here. So it comes to 50. If I do it 2 here, it's going to be the same size as for the albedo and the normal. You can see how rough it looks, and this is actually very too much distortion. So I'm going to put 200 in that place. It looks a bit better. So if you scroll down, you can see what it looks like on ground level. And it looks all right actually, but there's still the bump that we're going to add. So I'm just going to cut this out, paste. Well, I don't have to cut out since it's already there. It's just a bump actually. So the normal map is added as well, but then you add the map. Yeah, the texture is normal map and called an update. Same thing goes with bump map and it goes update and have this floor. So we're going to work with this floor as we go along the next videos. All you have to do is use the texture loader, reference the images from wherever they're located in your file hierarchy, then load them. Make sure to call needs update so that the material can be refreshed. Because what happens now is that this whole construct runs asynchronously because it could take a while for the image to download. So it calls the image back to update, material back to update. So in the next video, we'll deal with the first person controller on understand how we can navigate this scene if we're a game player. So see you then. Yes, bye.